Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. So today's video is a really exciting video that I haven't filmed yet. I have been writing down throughout the whole of my second trimester what I've been through, everything that's happened, the good, the bad, the ugly, you know, when things started to happen. And it's taken me so long to sit and film this. Now I'm filming this while I'm in my third trimester because I've completed the whole thing. I thought it's best off to finish a whole trimester before filming the video of what's got me through it, my must-haves, you know, everything like that. So at the minute you're watching this and I am nearly 36 weeks pregnant. I will show you a little bump. Oh. So I am very much pregnant and very much still going on this journey. So let's have a look at what got me through the second trimester. I'm going to split it down into stages. I'm going to put it into from the weeks that from the start of the second trimester all the way through to the end of the second trimester, and hopefully this will help some of you if you are going through your second trimester now and you are just wanting a little tips, tricks, things you should be starting getting, or things that I've got. And let's just do it. Let's just do this big video. So grab a cup of tea like I have in my Mickey Mouse cup, and it's definitely one you're going to want to just sit and chill and put in the background while you're doing things. So let's do this. Okay, so I've written everything down on my tablet. I thought, so I was doing it week by week and I was going through things I was feeling, emotions at that point, and that's a really good way of documenting your pregnancy. So if you are somebody, and this is my first probably little bit of advice, if you are somebody that wants something to look back on and you really just need something just to jot down and get your emotions out, definitely start writing a diary. Now obviously I use my Samsung tablet and I just use the documents that I have on there, or Word. Some people like the old-fashioned writing in a diary, and to be fair, I love a good old diary, but I just find it's easier for me because I use my tablet daily to use my tablet. So that's one thing. But here we go. So weeks 13 to weeks 14. So obviously week 13 is the start of the second trimester, and this is all the way through to the end of the 14th week. Cool? Just so you all know. I'm sorry I'm waving my hands around a lot. I noticed I do this in a lot of my videos. I'm working on it, okay? So week 13 to week 14. I would say this is when all of my symptoms completely disappeared. I felt really normal. I felt like my original self before I found out I was pregnant. You know, it's a really strange feeling because you get to the 13th week and you think, I've done it. I've done the first 12. I've got that first scan out of the way. Everything looks good. But you expect your symptoms to continue. You don't expect them to just disappear. And obviously they just all of a sudden disappeared. The nausea was gone. I didn't have any sore boobs. It was just so strange. But also what I struggled with was the body confidence side of it. Because you're 13 weeks, you know, 13 to 14 weeks, you're kind of thinking, oh, you know, you'd expect to have some form of little bump to show off and be like, well, you know, I'm pregnant, I've done it, the first 12 weeks, here we go. But there isn't. And I remember putting a post up on Instagram saying how I felt, and that a lot of women actually commented back to me and said it's totally normal, it will appear, don't worry just yet. And yeah, it's just a really tough time because you want to feel so happy. And it's supposed to be the start of what's known as the honeymoon phase of your pregnancy, where you're happy, you're glowing, your skin's lovely, your hair's thick and beautiful. But for some reason, those emotions didn't hit me straight away. And I just want anyone who is watching this to know that that is normal. Don't worry. It is completely normal to just feel this overwhelming, anxious feeling that something's wrong because you've stopped feeling all these symptoms that you kind of are waiting for and hoping are going to tell you your pregnancy is going well. So yeah, that was my 13th to 14th week. Nothing major really, just that all my symptoms disappeared and I didn't really feel pregnant anymore. I just felt like my old self again. That was hard. Weeks 15 to week 16 was when we had our gender scan. So we had our gender scan at 16 weeks, and I will show you a picture in just a second. We picked the Window to Womb company to do all of our private scans. I mentioned this in my video about my first trimester, that we used Window to Womb, and I have used them throughout my whole pregnancy, and honestly they reassured me on so many occasions. So I cannot thank the Window to Womb company enough. But yeah, we had our first gender scan, not first, what am I on about? We had our gender scan. Obviously this was very much during COVID, so unfortunately it meant, you know, only me and Adam could go to these scans. We couldn't have like a gender reveal announcement in that way. We had to get creative, so we did a gender video for our family and friends, and then we posted it on Facebook and that later in that evening, so that they could all see, you know, what we were having, and the whole world could see that we were indeed having a little boy. I will show you a picture first before I move on to the next bit. So this is when you go for a scan at window to womb, you get these lovely little packs that give you all your pictures and like documents and everything in. So at 16 weeks he was... So this is the picture that we had. Oh, if it wants to rotate. This is the picture we had of our scan. I'm sorry, it keeps turning, so I'm just going to hold on to it like that and see if that works. Yeah, so this was him at 16 weeks. So amazing, honestly, it was the best experience. And we also got to peek at him in 4D, which was again incredible. It was the most amazing feeling being able to see him in 4D, and the fact that you could just see this little face, and you know, he wasn't fully formed yet. We've had obviously another 4D scan since, but it was absolutely amazing. And yeah, they come in these, like, at first you get like little envelopes which has a little report in to tell you how the baby is, where the baby's sitting, you know, you get loads of information, and I find them so much better than the NHS scans, because obviously you're paying for that little bit more information, so you're paying to get all that. So definitely, if you are looking for a company to use and you're not quite sure who you want to use, look at Window to Womb if you've got them in your area. They were absolutely amazing. I also brought my first pair of maternity jeans. So I will show you the bits and pieces that my must-haves later on in this video. But yes, I brought my first pair of maternity jeans because I knew I was going to need them at some point. Weeks 17 to weeks 18, again, still no major bump, you know, I was still looking in the mirror, I couldn't notice a bump. Everyone else was telling me, oh Holly, you've got a lovely little bump, it's so sweet, and I couldn't see it. I just could not see this bump. All I could just see was that I'd gained some weight, you know, I didn't feel pregnant still. But the one thing I would say kicked in that week, and you know, this is completely honest here, is the anxiousness. It didn't matter what my midwife said, it didn't matter what Adam said, or the fact if I had a scan, I'd be reassured for maybe 24 hours, and then my head would creep back in and I'd be thinking something's going to go wrong, something's going to happen, you know. I guess in that 17 to 18 weeks, you're close to the 20-week scan, which is the big anomaly scan. So you're a bit concerned and a bit worried that things are going to happen, or they're going to pick things up health-wise of baby. It was awful. It was just constant anxious feeling, and I just couldn't get rid of it. It didn't matter what I did or said, it just didn't happen. I don't think it helped either the fact, you know, COVID meant that we couldn't go out and about and see our family and friends. We couldn't, you know, I couldn't take my mind off of it by going out to a shop or, you know, carrying on my normal routine. I was in that bubble still of being pregnant, and I was alone. Adam had gone back to work by this point, and it was really, really tough, I have to say. It's normal though, you know, I was always reassured by my midwife whenever I called her an absolute mess. She would say, look, this is completely normal to feel this way. It's all your hormones kicking in. Everything is happening at once. It's a very scary time, so don't worry too much about it. But yeah, I'd say even now, I'm still 100%, I get these anxious moments that just won't go away. So I found by writing them down, and this is what I was told to do, write your feelings down. If you're feeling anxious, write down what you're feeling anxious about, and then get the facts. So when I'd go and see my midwife, I'd say to her, this week I've been feeling really anxious about this. She would give me the hardcore facts, and I needed that. I'm the kind of person that needs to know, like, the percentage, the outcome. You know, I like to be able to tell straightforward, this is your chance of this happening. And that's how I cope with things. Some people are different, but I obviously tried to stop using Google, Dr. Google as it's called. because you get all sorts of scary things come up, and then the horrible mum's net comes up. If any of you are like me and you go through threads and threads of mum's net, some of the things I've seen and read on there, I've then called my midwife and she's gone, Holly, don't listen to that. That's just other mums telling you how they're feeling. It's not necessarily what's going on with you. If you have a problem, always call me. So always call your midwife. Don't look at silly websites. This was also in week 17 and week 18 was when I started to feel flutters. Now, they were only every time I sat really still, only I could feel them. But you know when you feel like this popcorn sensation, and it was like a swooshing butterfly effect. That's how it felt. It wasn't like proper movement. It wasn't kicks and, you know, full on jabs and things that you get now. It's really hard to explain, but it would only happen when I was super, super still. So it'd be in the evening when I finished doing what I'm doing, I just sat still, relaxed my body, and that's when I started to feel the first bits of movement, which was amazing because it's kind of the first sign that things are going okay. Obviously cramping as well. I had cramping from this point onwards, which is, according to the medical professionals, round ligament pain. You do not need to worry about it. The only time you need to be concerned is when you have bleeding, then you need to go and get that checked out. So that's something I learned. I didn't think I'd get any more cramps and pains like that, but obviously you're stretching, your body's growing this person, you're going to get aches and pains, and it doesn't get any better, trust me. We also had our first face-to-face midwife appointment. Again, because of COVID, we didn't have face-to-face appointments with our booking appointments or anything beforehand. It was all telephone, but we got the confirmation at that point that we could have our first face-to-face midwife appointment. So I could hear the baby's heartbeat through the Doppler when she did it, and it was just so much nicer having a face-to-face conversation, a phone conversation, because I don't know about you guys, but I really do struggle with explaining how I'm feeling. Like, you know, when you go to the doctor and they say to you, oh, you know, what are you here for today? And you can kind of point and show them these things. On a phone, you can't do that. And I find that strange, and I really have struggled with that. We also had our whooping cough vaccine at that point. So, you know, there are things to consider. Not everybody likes the idea of vaccines. It's a personal choice, I guess. It's up to you what you want to do. But I had it because I know it's going to protect my baby for when he's born until he has his vaccination. So that's my view. Weeks 19 to weeks 20. This is probably the biggest milestone of most pregnancies, is getting to that 20-week mark where you have the anomaly. I can't say it, oh my god. You have that scan, the big scan, but it's also the best feeling ever because that's when I first noticed my bump. And I remember wearing like just a tight dress similar to what I've got on at the minute, and I could see this bump and I was like, oh my god, I'm pregnant. I'm actually having a baby. Like, what's going on here? And it became very real very quickly from that point onwards for me. Obviously, yeah, we had our 20-week scan. Baby was absolutely perfect. He was so healthy and it was absolutely amazing, honestly. Nothing got picked up, so there was no concern. So I didn't need to be seen by an OBGYN. I could just go and basically just see my midwife from that point onwards, which was absolutely incredible. It was something really exciting. Obviously, it still meant during COVID though that Adam couldn't come to any of our scans, and the most frustrating thing about this is the day after we had our 20-week, we then get a message from our hospital to say they're now allowing partners at scans. So I don't understand why they couldn't have started it from that Monday rather than the Friday, but this is, you know, unfortunately it's an unpredictable time. We don't really know, and they don't really know what's happening at the minute. So that was really gutting. We were in the car on the way home from our 20-week, and I was like, you're not going to believe it, but if we'd had our scan tomorrow, you could have been there. So that was the only downfall, and that has been the biggest downfall of my second trimester. Is obviously Adam's not been to any appointments. Even in our third trimester, he's not allowed to come to my antenatals. So it's a really, really tough time. And it's a very emotional time as well. You know, 20 weeks, you kind of want your partner there, because if something's gone wrong or if they tell you information, you kind of just need your partner there. So that's the one. That's quite a sad thing, and it did take a little while to get used to doing this completely on my own. People kept saying that's when I started to look like I was glowing, you know, I started to look happy in my pregnancy. I wasn't as anxious after I had that 20-week scan. I was still very much like, oh, in that pregnancy, like, wow, I'm pregnant, I'm having a baby, I want to go shopping, I want to get everything for this nursery, I want to do this, I want to do that. I had to slow myself down because I was generally like, I need to get my head, like, organised mindset on now. We're having a baby, I need to do this. That's just me. I'm just an organised human being. Some of you guys might be the same, some of you might be different, but yeah, that is just me. I also found that kicks started to happen at this point. So at the end of my 20th week, I would say that we felt first proper kick. Again, it took a couple more weeks before Adam could actually feel him properly move, but you know when you feel that first kick and you're like, oh my god, that was a kick, that was a kick. And that's when it sinks in properly, you know, you're having a baby. This little human being inside of you is getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and they are moving. And I find that really strange. Most people are like, oh, it's the most amazing thing ever. I actually found it really strange. And I found sometimes his movements would make me feel sick. And I felt really bad for that. I thought, oh my god, maybe, am I going to be, you know, am I going to like this child? Is this like the start of me not being maternal? What's going on? Again, these are just first time mum worries that once I started reading different pregnancy books and things, I started to realise actually that's kind of normal. It's normal to feel these emotions. Not everybody has this complete happiness of their pregnancy. Some people do take a little while for it to sink in, and I think in that one moment it was just so surreal being able to feel something move inside of you. I don't know. Comment below, obviously you guys might feel differently, but yeah, it was really, really strange. Weeks 21 to weeks 22. So we built his nursery in this bit, as you can see, his little setup over here to start with. We got his chest of drawers. So basically, if you look at my video I did about his nursery, I will link it down below. We've got a chest of drawers from IKEA, which has got all of his items in. It's got sections and organisers in there. It's lovely. And then we got his cot, which I have behind me, which was from Smith's Toys, and it's got the changing table on top. You can see it there. That's what we started with when we built that, and then we have some little pictures at the top with some dinosaurs. I have recently ordered a new piece to go on the wall, so I'm really excited for that to arrive. But yeah, that's his main nursery setup. We're intending on staying here for a little while, so that will be his space. We have got a Moses basket now, which is over here, but that's not in this video, so that will come in our third trimester video. I'm going to repeat this, I struggle with my anxiety quite a lot. At this point, I had more down days than I had up days, so I was finding that I was in that limbo phase. I'd had that 20-week scan, everything was absolutely fine, but he's still not viable, so anything could happen, and anything can still happen, even now in my third trimester, and it's taken a lot for me to get over this fear of something bad happening to him. So at this point, this is when I started to have a lot of self-care days. I'd find I'd take a gap off of the internet. I'd try not to be on social media. I would stop filming, so I didn't film very much during this time. I also found that I'd like to have a bubble bath quite a lot, because I could just go put my iPad on Spotify, listen to some Disney calming music, always Disney, and just take some time away from myself, because I needed it. I needed to clear my head. But at this point, it was also when I started reading and doing more research into hypnobirthing, and obviously the hypnotherapy side of pregnancy. Because of how much I was struggling, I needed something to take all of that build up of anxiety away. I needed to basically part myself from being pregnant and do something different. So this is when I first got one of these books. It's the Your Baby, Your Birth book. Honestly, a lifesaver. I will go into more detail of this later on in the video. But yeah, this is the book that I started reading when I started feeling really, really anxious, and it actually calmed me down quite a lot. And again, it gave me a different way of looking at pregnancy, a lot more positive affirmations, changing terminology when it came to, you know, words that made me scared or things that were worrying me. And I also stuck to what my midwife said, and any problems or fears, I wrote them down and took them to her and said, this is what I'm really worried about. And she would either say, Holly, this is your blood test, this come back as this is this, and she would be on it. And I cannot fault my midwives for doing what they do. Really, they deserve so much for the amount of down days that I was having. So, you know, that was in that just them 2 weeks. I had a lot of down days. I did really struggle. But then on the plus side to that, I did have a lot of up days. You know, I don't want anyone to watch this video and think that I'm not grateful for being pregnant. But when you know the journey we've been on to get here, it's not been easy, it's not been plain sailing. And, you know, when you've had losses before, it's really tough to maintain this positive, constant happiness of being pregnant, because you're always so scared that it's just going to get taken away from you. And I'm still conscious of that now. And even though I use all these birthing techniques and, you know, positive mindset, sometimes they just creep back in. And I guess if you are just a naturally anxious human being and you have been through a horrible or traumatic birth, you know, you're going to feel this constant anxiety. And I still don't know the answer to it. I still don't know what can be done. I didn't want to go on any form of like medication. They said to me about going on some anxiety medication, and I just was like, I don't want to take any. I need to try and do this mentally myself, because it's in my head. I'm not physically unwell. I'm actually really healthy. So you just have to find things to preoccupy your mind. And for me, this book was the start of that. And also the other book, the Pregnancy, Birth and Beyond, which again, I will go into more detail on this book later on in this video. But they were my two must-haves, and they honestly got me through these bad anxiety days, and I just felt so much better. 23 to week 24. This is when I went back to work. Obviously, COVID was still very much there. It still is. But we were allowed to start coming back to work, and I was so happy to be going back to work, to get into a routine and not be sat in the bubble that I was in, constantly worrying, you know, just talking to myself, not having other people to talk to, couldn't go out, couldn't go and see family. So when I got like told I could come back to work, I was over the moon. I'm not even joking you. But obviously at week 24, so that is when a baby becomes officially viable, which I think is ridiculous. I think, knowing how I felt earlier on, I would have said, you know, that baby is still a baby. But in medical terms, at 24 weeks, they are viable. They do have a chance of survival if they come at that point, but you have to go to a real specialist hospital in order for that to happen. But I reached that milestone, and that to me was the biggest step, was reaching one of those milestones where if he did want to come early, he could have, and we would have hoped that he would have fought for coming and staying. It was very much obvious I was pregnant at this point. I had the big bump. It just appeared, just all of a sudden, overnight. It was just this bump, and I remember taking a picture the week before and thinking, oh, you know, I'm starting to look pregnant, it's really nice, feeling really like, oh, really pretty, really cute with it. Then that happened, the bowling ball. My card went full, which is pretty typical. But yeah, it was absolutely amazing to reach this milestone, and yeah, it was just amazing. Also at this point, you could also start feeling his movements. Adam felt his kick for the first time, and that was the most amazing thing ever. If your partner's not been able to be involved really in your pregnancy, for them to be able to basically feel your baby move is so amazing. And it was so cute to see him feel that first proper kick from outside. But yeah, his movements were very sporadic. You know, it was still very much when I was relaxed and after work. So I did have a lot of panic modes, thinking, oh my god, is he moving? Is this okay? Is that okay? Because you always get told to monitor movement. But yeah, there was no doubt I was definitely pregnant. I could feel him inside of me. I looked pregnant, and at this point I'd say I felt pretty amazing. I was back in a routine at work. I was happy. You know, it was a really good couple of weeks, when all these little things started happening. Weeks 25 to 26, this was the best time in my second trimester, I feel, anyway. We had our 4D scan, which was at the window to womb. I will show you a picture of him. Yeah, we had all these little pictures done, and he was so cute. And I couldn't believe the detail that comes off of these 4D images. It is amazing. In comparison to obviously what we saw at 16 weeks to what we saw at our 26-week appointment, 4D appointment. Oh, it was brilliant. We also at this point got a heartbeat bear, which if I push this you will be able to hear it. These are a lovely keepsake to have when you're feeling down or you're feeling really like having an anxious day. I find if I just play that to myself, I feel so much better, because at the end of the day that's his heartbeat. And yeah, again, I just can't believe it. But also in that scan, this is when his due date got changed again. Now obviously because it's a private scan, you have to, you know, you have to report this back to your midwife anyway, because you get a report. But he was actually bigger than what he should be. So that's absolutely fine. We'd rather he be bigger than smaller. You know, we were all happy. But it did change his date back until the end of October, which was his original due date. Because of my periods, you know, I was due on the 30th of October. We had our first scan at 7 weeks because of fertility treatment and everything. And I was measuring just slightly behind. So his date then got put to the 9th of November. We then went for our 12-week scan, and he caught up, and he then changed to the 5th of November. And then we had our 20-week scan. He'd grown a little bit then, and now that scan put him back at the 30th. So babies do a lot of catching up and growing. So don't necessarily take your scan dates for gospel, because, you know, I learned that from one of these books. I think it was this book actually, that, you know, there's a 5-week window of when the baby will actually come. Your due date is just an estimated time of arrival. It doesn't mean they're going to be here then. So, you know, take your scan dates with a pinch of salt. We have no idea when he's going to arrive. He could be early, he could be late. We don't know. At this point we also found that he had a genre of music that he liked to listen to. If we were in the car on our way to work, we would be play like 80s rock in the morning. He loved it. Oh my god, he would go nuts in my stomach listening to music. But the minute you turn it off, he'd go dead. He'd just go silent, and you think, do you like this or are you not happy? But I mentioned it to my midwife, and she said, no, that means he's probably quite happy. He's probably enjoying the bass, the sound of it. And I'm like, oh my god, that is so surreal. He can hear these voices. But yeah, we were also at this point in a pattern. So he would be very much active really early in the morning when I was waking up for work. I'd have my breakfast, he'd be a bit wriggly. Lunch again, he'd start to have a wriggle, have a bit of a quiet period. Then when I got home in the evening and sat down, that was it. He was awake. He was like, hi mum, I'm here. And then, yeah, but we still found it was very sporadic. It wasn't every single day we had that same movement, but we were getting in a pattern that we could see. And we also had one quiet day a week where his movements were there, but they weren't like frequent. And they were the days, obviously I was a mess. I'd been texting Adam all day going, oh my god, he's not moving, should I get these checked out? Because, you know, you're very conscious of the fact when your midwife says to you, you need to monitor their movements, and if they start to decrease, let us know. So there's me like proper panicking, like, oh my god, is he moving, what's going on? I had to go into hospital at some point then, because I was having all these pains and everything, and his movement wasn't quite right, but it turned out he was absolutely fine, so I'm really happy with that. But yeah, it was still very, very off-putting when the baby has a quiet day. We also at this point picked his name. Once we'd had our 4D scan, we looked at the names that we'd picked and we eventually decided. I'm not saying just yet until he's here, but we definitely decided at that point this is what we want to call him. And then I also started collecting from my hospital bag. This was the start of my hospital bag appointment. I was like, oh, you know, I'm just going to start collecting little bits and pieces, but you've seen my hospital bag appointment by now. If you haven't, I will link that below. Go and check that out if you want to see what I actually packed in the end. Week 27 to week 28. Now this is when I was very happy and content. I'd made it to the end of the second trimester. We were coming into the third trimester. His movements were so frequent. His daddy could feel him moving. I could feel him moving constantly. People around me could feel him move and see him move. He started to respond to different voices. If he didn't know a voice, he'd be very interested, like very much like jolty, like what's going on, what's going on. But he did love listening to me and Adam talk to each other, and he still does now. He loves listening to our voices. He did start to know when dinner time was, which was quite interesting. That's when he started to become quite active if I hadn't eaten. He was like, hello, it's food time, wakey wakey mum, food. But yeah, all in all, I was so happy. It was probably the best part of that second trimester, is feeling all those feelings. I also had my first boob leakage at that point. I was in the middle of my food shop and my boob started leaking, so I had to go and get maternity bras and pads to put in because they started to leak through. We also did our antenatal classes. Now with COVID, you can't actually do face-to-face antenatal classes at the minute. You have to do virtual. So we decided again to pay for a private package. We went with the Birth Collective, who have been really good. The videos and everything have been amazing. I'm really chuffed with how they've done all this. They even have a section on how to cope in pregnancy during a pandemic. So it's been really helpful and a nice guidance. And it's really nice to see Adam really enjoy these antenatal classes. I didn't think he would, but I was really shocked. He loves listening to these antenatals and just knowing what's going on, how my body's changing and everything. So yeah, I would say we started our antenatals then, and that's it. We're now in our third trimester. So obviously this video for second trimester, I have my next stage I'm going to do, which is my must-haves from my second trimester. And then I will do a video once little one is here of my third trimester, of what happened, how I'm feeling and everything like that. So I hope this has helped you anyway, and I will see you for the next half of this video. So now we move on, oh hang on, let me just move this. Okay, so now we're moving on to the must-haves during the second trimester. These are items that I 100% think that you need during your second trimester. So obviously I started off with saying a diary of some form, be it a tablet, a mobile phone, something you can just keep a track of your second trimester and keep like memories and things. Also taking photos. I'm very much a big lover of taking constant pictures during my pregnancy so that I can put them together and keep something special. I also, because I love videoing and vlogging, I have been doing videos of my bump every 2 weeks, so that will go up once baby is here. But again, it's just a keepsake, so definitely things you should definitely be thinking about if you want to keep these things, but yeah, must-haves. I'd have to say this pregnancy pillow has been my life. So I did originally buy a 12-foot pregnancy pillow from the internet, and it was really good and it is still really nice and comfy. Adam enjoyed it more than I did, but because I'm only 4'10", I'm very tiny, I found it very heavy. So when I was in bed with it, I would either get really hot because I was so snuggled into it, or it was just too big for me. So I went to IKEA, obviously the mothership of the world, and they had their V pillows there, and these are so thick, as you can tell. It is so comfy, and I just put it on my bed like so. I obviously pull my pillows down and I sleep with it like this, and I can then tuck my leg either to the end of this pillow, or I have got like regular pillows I can just put between my leg just to keep my body supported while I sleep on my side, because I am a back sleeper and I'm finding it really difficult to adjust to sleeping on my side. I also, if I want to sit upright in bed so that I don't slouch, this has come in handy, and it will come in handy for after baby is born as well. You know, I can use it as a feeding pillow or anything. I have got a feeding pillow for him which was gifted to me, so I'm not quite sure what I'll use yet, but this is a lifesaver, and it was only £7. So if you want an affordable cheap pillow, go to IKEA. The pregnancy pillows are a must. I've also said it were these two books. So it is the Holly de Cruz Your Baby Your Birth. If you're somebody who's interested in hypnobirthing and hypnotherapy techniques, and you just like that form of reassurance and learning, then I would definitely say this book is for you. It is very amazing. It gives you different stories of different parents that have done hypnobirthing techniques through their pregnancy and their labour. It also gives you exercises, not as in like physical exercises, but like workbook exercises that you can do with your partner, so you kind of bond and get closer together over this whole experience. And it has been one of the best books I've ever read, and I'm going to take as much as I can from what I've learned to hopefully practice for the rest of my pregnancy, and also hopefully during birth. You've then got the Pregnancy, Birth and Beyond. Now this is the Modern Days Midwife Guide to Pregnancy, and it is amazing. It goes through every stage of your pregnancy. It's got welcome to the first trimester, the second trimester, the third, and it tells you things that, you know, you don't necessarily know. Like, it tells you how to avoid PGP. You know, it tells you your posture should be during your pregnancy, learning how to hand expression. It gives you all the down low into pregnancy and all the techniques, and also, you know, symptoms and things. It's all in this book, and it is so good. It also goes all the way up until the fourth trimester, and how to look after your newborn and things to look out for and everything like that. So yeah, it says just feel confident, informed and inspired about your exciting journey ahead. It has come up with the latest evidence, her years of experience as a midwife, and makes you feel more positive about the experiences. And it will tell you what's happening in your body, how to manage it, how to use food for fuel, best ways to prepare for labour, what to do in the first 24 hours after birth, how to look after yourself, not just baby, which is so important, and what you really need to know about breastfeeding. It makes you feel empowered, and I'd have to say both of these books together definitely makes you feel more informed and feel like you're making the decisions for your body. You know, I know the baby is in control and they decide when they want to arrive, but you are in control of your own body, and it's definitely empowering and amazing what our bodies go through as women. So if you want two books, these are the best two that I've read. I have got a couple more, but I would definitely say these are the top two to get. So definitely, if you want a book, these are the ones to go and buy on Amazon. Obviously the heartbeat bear that we got from our 4D scan, you can get these packages even if you just go for a regular scan. You can get yourself one of these bears. I believe they were £35 for a large bear like this, but it's something that we can keep forever, and also he can use as well because it's so soft, like really, really soft. Yeah, this was an absolute must. It's got me through so many anxious moments when you can just sit and listen to this baby's heartbeat. I then have my maternity jeans I was talking to you about. So these are my maternity jeans. They are the stained jean with the nice stretchy bump. This is still going now. Now with maternity clothing you can wear the same clothing size as you were wearing before, but obviously in maternity form. So these are a size 10 and they still fit me perfectly. At first they were really baggy and I was thinking, oh god, how am I going to survive in these? But now they are a lifesaver to just chuck on. They're comfy. Obviously the band is attached to the jean, so they're also very stretchy as you can see. So it has lasted and it's still going strong now. I got these from Everything £5. I've done a video on these guys before. I absolutely love their products. I don't know if they're still selling these. If they are, I will link them down below. But of course they were £5. So for £5 for a pair of jeans that have lasted me, the only pair of jeans I have bought for maternity, these guys have definitely been the best. I believe Next are also very good for their jeans, and Boohoo are supposed to be quite good, so definitely check them out. I'd also say in the trouser front section to wear underneath dresses. Now I like wearing nice tight fitting dresses during pregnancy because they stretch. Again, they're breathable, and it was like summer when I was in my second trimester, so I needed to wear dresses. I couldn't get away wearing jeans all the time. I bought the Primark cycling shorts. These were £2.50. I believe you can still get them in the store. I might be wrong, but I bought 3 pairs of these because they are a dream. Many days I spent just wearing these and one of my maternity bras, which I'll show you in a second. And that's what I would sit and wear because it was the most comfiest items I ever owned. So definitely you don't need to buy maternity clothes to support your pregnancy bump or spend loads of money. These are £2.50. Okay, I went up to a size 14 in them, so I knew they had stretch, but they're still going strong for me. So definitely check out regular clothing. You don't have to go and buy maternity clothes and spend loads of money. I would definitely say just go and buy yourself a couple of key staple items. So for me, a pair of jeans were a must. Obviously these tight but stretchy dresses, so cheap. You can get them in Primark for like £3-4, and I've lived in the Primark dress that I bought. It's just a strappy one. I just put a t-shirt on over the top, tie it up around my boobs, and it just separates the outfit, so you can go for a day, night, looking cute. Honestly, I have loved my fashion sense during pregnancy. I probably, when I had this baby, will end up wearing just a pair of leggings and a t-shirt again, because who's going to need or want time to be looking fabulous? I'd also say stock up on maternity bras, girls. I got these from Amazon, a pack of 3 for £14. I'm actually considering ordering more because these are the comfiest maternity bras I have found so far. So if you look at them here, the front section comes down, so you can obviously open up and feed baby for when they're here. But in terms of comfort, I have found these an absolute godsend. I don't like wearing underwire bras normally. I haven't got the biggest chest on earth. So for me, wearing underwire bras are just never comfortable. They don't look right. If anything, they just make me look huge up top and nothing sits properly. So I wear sports bras, and now I live in these. Absolutely live in them. And they've got a cup inside. So because obviously where your boobs leak, it's going to happen. You might as well get used to it now. You need to be able to put basically a nipple pad in here just to keep your boobs, stop it from leaking everywhere. It's going to happen, and you will somebody will say to me, Holly, it happened the same as you, in the middle of a shop, and they just leaked. I was wearing just a thin sports bra like I've got on now, and they just leaked all through my lovely t-shirt. It was embarrassing. It is very embarrassing when it happens and you're not prepared. So that's my warning to you girls now. But yeah, I would say they are the must-haves for my second trimester. Of course, private scans for me were a must-have. It's a luxury really. You don't need to have them done, but it has reassured me plenty of times. So definitely check out your local private clinic if you've got one. But that's it. That is all I can give you for my must-haves for now. I will give you a more up-to-date one, obviously, with my third trimester. But I hope you do enjoy this video. If you did, give it a massive thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and follow me on Instagram with lovehollyxo. That's where you'll get up to date of when the baby's here. Obviously I'm 36 weeks now, so he could come at any point, but it's very exciting. I can't wait. My camera is about to die, so I'm sorry I'm talking so quickly, but I'm trying to get this out and done ready. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a lovely day, and I'll see you in my next video.